This story comes out of TwitchCon. A streamer broke her back in 2 places after jumping in a foam pit at TwitchCon. Multiple people were injured. Now, to be clear, this foam pit was apparently not like owned by Twitch. This was not a Twitch foam pit. It was like a collaboration across multiple companies, and somehow like they just thought that this was a good idea. Basically what they did, I don't think they embedded the video, which is probably for the best, but this is like a little cap from it. Basically this foam, you see her kind of laying there. She's on concrete. Her butt's on concrete right now. The foam pit is not actually that deep. So they got like a concrete floor. They put 2 little pedestals on it and then sprinkled these little foam cubes over it. But the foam cubes maybe are like 2 to 3 deep. More like 2. So like you should not be jumping in this. And apparently, so I've heard conflicting things. On the one hand, some people were saying that staff at this game were telling, Intel, I think is what it was. It was Intel and someone else. But what they were doing is the staff was telling people, don't jump into the foam. You're not supposed to. Lenovo. Okay, that makes sense. Maybe it was Lenovo and Intel. I don't know. But they were telling people not to jump in it, that it wasn't meant for that. But in the video, if you feel like you need to see it, you can look it up. TwitchCon foam pit. But like this girl that broke her back in 2 places, she like beats her, knocks her off the platform, and then does a straight up leap, butt first, right onto the concrete. And it like, you see it and it hurts my ass just thinking about it. Like seriously, she just loaded up. Yeah, I won. And then, hold on, I'm tangled up. And just like leaps butt first onto the ground. And it hurts to watch. It's pretty horrible. And she broke her back in 2 places because of it. And so there's all sorts of questions. I guess I could read and that would tell me what it is. So the Lenovo Legion booth hosted a face-off event in which streamers tried to knock each other off the raised podiums using padded poles off the podiums with pendulous things swinging. I don't know. The platforms were placed in a foam pit, though perhaps the word pit is generous, as it looked a little more like a few layers of foam over concrete. Yeah, so Chechik, I think is what it is. She has a bunch of followers. She broke her back in 2 places. Wasn't the only streamer hurt. Locke Van Ness dislocated her knee and sprained her ankle after stepping off a podium following her victory, and others have complained of back pain and difficulty walking. While contestants were warned against diving into the pit and had to sign liability waivers, the commentator at the booth had said they were quote, all about safety here at the Lenovo Legion booth. Want to have good, clean fun, be able to jump into that foam and enjoy yourself at the end of the day. And that line is going to come back to bite him. It seems like everybody assumed more care was taken into making it a actual foam pit, which was placed there so people could fall into it, like foam pits often are placed there for. And that it was actually safe for a human being to fall into. The pit was eventually closed, so hopefully that's the end of the injuries and the end of the convention pit shaping up to be the infamous, I can't read. And the end of a convention pit shaping up to be as infamous as the ball pit at DashCon. Is this a thing? Oh, I remember this. Extra hour in the ball pit. Some DashCon attendees also pointed out that one of the most memorable attractions at the convention was a colorful children's ball pit in an otherwise empty room. This was one of the attractions at the convention. Look at that. One hell of a convention right there. Oh man. Straight up there with TanaCon. Anyway, so that's a whole thing. Damn, I saw the video, it felt so bad. Yeah, it's pretty rough. It's pretty rough. It's just like, I get it. They signed waivers. So Lenovo's probably good. Like, they're not too worried about it. And so they probably don't even have to worry about it. I think the one thing they could run into is an issue with the guy saying, we just want to be able to jump into the foam. That's a problem. They say like, oh, don't like dive into the ball or into the foam. Diving and doing what these, like they jumped into it. I don't think they dove. Like you can jump in a pool without diving, you know? So like they jumped into the foam pit. They weren't, as far as I can tell, warned against jumping in. It was like diving specifically. All told, it's just a major screw up. Hopefully they pay the medical bills for these streamers and stuff. Hopefully the streamers have good health insurance and did that. I think a lot of people feel like they don't need to get health insurance when they're young. Like, I'm invincible, I'll be fine, but you got to do it. Especially when you're over 26 in the US, you're on your own, so you got to figure it out. But we'll see. I mean, I think probably that liability waiver is probably foolproof enough where they won't have to pay it if they don't want to. They probably should pay it just for keeping like good appearances up. But I mean, if it is the case, like this is why it's always tricky. If it was the case that staff said, do not jump into the foam. Like once you finish, walk over. Because like the one thing you have to remember too is like, and this is where I kind of lose a wee bit of sympathy with this. As much sympathy as you can lose with something horrible like this. But like, how did they get onto the platforms? They had to walk onto them and step up onto them. So they walked through this foam and knew that the floor was very shallow and the foam was very shallow and was not very deep. And then they stepped up on this knowing that the concrete was there. If I stepped on this floor with like a layer or two of foam and then stepped up on this platform, I would not be jumping in. So I don't know if they thought that the path they walked was like a walkway that wasn't very deep, and then that got really deep over here. I don't know. But I just like, they were walking on concrete to get onto the platform. So they had to have known it wasn't that deep. But then again, like you watch how this girl jumps off the platform and it literally is like Super Saiyan, just like boom. And you only jump like that if you really think that it's deep. So I don't know, maybe it was just like a little glitch in the brain where she was like, foam pit must be deep, and then leapt into it. I don't know. But like they had to get on the platform somehow. And that probably means that they knew that it wasn't that deep. But either way, I think we can all agree, it's freaking stupid to have a foam pit that's 6 inches deep, because the assumption with a foam pit is that, for one, it's primarily foam and not concrete, and also that it is a pit, and pits are defined as something deeper than 6 inches. I'm pretty sure that's the dictionary definition. Deeper than 6 inches, then you can call it a pit.